Okay, it's time to get started. And so Bobby asked me to put up on the screen one of my recent sculptures for somebody. And so there it is. There you go. So this week, let's see. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, I guess. Janet is asking about the YouTube drama, which I'm not really sure about yet. Maybe you can tell me about that. I'm not sure. But anyways, let's see. So what are we going to do today? Let me put on my web camera here. Let's see. Where is it? Is it this one? There we go. Okay. So, yeah, here it is. Let's see. So we've got, let me move my microphone too over here so you can hear me. It's down here. Okay, I'm not very organized. I apologize. So anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Obviously, I'm Mark, and so last week what we did is we sculpted our mother character. And so let's see here. I'll also pop my chat out. See if I can do that somehow. And pop out chat. Okay. That'll make it easier too. It's gonna work. Not sure if it's gonna work here. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Okay. So we got our mother character here, and so I did this last week with you guys, and it took about 2 hours to make. I don't believe that this will take 2 hours to make, though. This is the baby, one of the babies, one of three, and you can see one of my very rough sketches here of what I want the scene to look like. So I don't know if you guys can see this. It's kind of faint, but so we got our mother here, and we've got the set in the background. We got the window, the door, and so what we're gonna have these three little kids, and they're gonna be playing with some toys on the floor while the mother sweeps. And this happens prior to them getting hungry. So I've got some other storyboards. The next shot will be the kids are playing, and this kid kind of gets a frown on his face, and his stomach growls, and the other kids look at him like, what is that, you know? And then he starts to cry. The others are concerned, and they all cry in unison. So that is the the setup for these characters. So there's going to be three of these little kids, and so obviously you can see my finger here. It's going to be really small. Won't take a lot of clay or a lot of time. So I'm probably gonna have to do some forced perspective. I might have to sculpt these larger for close-up shots to get more expression in their face and stuff. But this is pretty simple of a job. So I need to find some colors, and off to the side I have a lot of clay, and it's kind of dirty. It's got some cat hairs on it, which is always not fun. So what's a good color? Let's see here. Some pastel blue of some sort. I think this color is pretty close. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna take hardly any clay, which is nice. So, yeah, so Bobby Harling wants to plant some plants, I heard. I always read Bobby Harling. I don't know if you guys are friends on YouTube with him, but you post some really funny stuff on your wall. I recently posted there's this politician named Ben Carson, and I guess it's HUD, HUD, Housing and Urban Development. It's like a federally funded. I think that's what it's called, federally funded program, and he's against it. He thinks that they don't need any money, so he visits a apartment complex, that's paid for by the government. To I don't know if he was going there to prove his political point or not, but he goes in there, goes in an elevator to go upstairs or downstairs, and due to, I guess, budget constraints and low, maintenance on their um, in their apartment complex, he gets stuck inside there in the elevator, stuck for who knows how long, and they had to call um, the fire department to get him out. And I'm for small government and all, but it's not that small. Where you can't even get in an elevator. And but I thought that's just like some sort of strange karma. Like he's in there, and the universe is like saying, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to cut funding for poor people or something. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I think it's kind of hilarious. I mean, politics is like it's like drama and humor kind of wrapped in one. People do such dumb stuff. But anyway, hopefully you guys are all good out there. Hopefully you guys are all being creative. I know I've been super busy doing all kinds of stuff. Some digital things that I'm working on for clients, and I just made a small, well, not small, a 16-inch tall armature for a woman who has arthritis and has a hard time making armatures. So she asked if I sold anything like that, and we sell armature kits that are under a foot tall, and I said I don't sell armature kits that tall. And she was wondering about like the ball and socket armatures, but her final goal was to make a sculpty like doll of some sort, made with Fimo and regular Sculpey, and I think she said she uses like Cernit or something. It's like a polymer clay that you bake. And I said, well, you don't really need to use a ball and socket armature for that, because that's just kind of wasting the joints. Like those are expensive joints, and for that you should just use wire. And I said, well, we don't have any wire kits that are that tall, and I said, and she goes, well, I had high hopes with you guys, and I thought maybe you could help me. And so I'm like, well, I'll just make you one. And so luckily, I just charged her, not too much money for that, and it's a simple job, but it's kind of cool that I'm still getting paid to kind of do fun things like that. And I've also got two other projects I had to do for somebody, and one is to like modify a mannequin with what size, like a certain boob size. I forget what size it is already. It's like a C cup or something like that, some rare cup. Like evidently when you buy a mannequin, those things are hard to come by with certain sizes. So that was one of the things that I had to do for somebody, and make a mold and then cast it, and like attach it to a mannequin body, and then use resins and stuff to attach it and glue it in place. And kind of an odd job, like I've never had to do something like that, so hopefully it'll work out. $1 million from the wire armature. I charged $1 million. It's true. How did you find out? So I would never charge $1 million. Not that much. But let me see here. So then the other thing I had to do, who's the Karen Elson is the next full-sized 1-to-1 scale head that I had to sculpt for somebody. So I have like 2 jobs to do, and I'm always pretty much doing something. And then also for Neville, one of my friends on Facebook, he's making like or trying to get funding for a series of stop motion films that he wants to make, and he's been working on for literally like 25 years, but has never really taken off. And it almost did take off, but he wanted to stay true to his original ideas, which, you know, have characters which are, you know, and it's kind of a weird thing. It's like because they're black, and somebody wanted to pay him good money to make the series, but he wanted like all the characters to be white, you know, some weird thing. So, you know, it's kind of crazy that people still are out there that feel that, you know, everything has to be that way. Anyway, it's kind of a weird topic, but he's trying to go it on his own, you know, and raise funds, and he's getting a lot of people interested in it, and a lot of good artists interested in working on his project. And it's kind of like this cool sci-fi story that he's got, where this, you know, there's like people that go to Mars, and they send robots to make it habitable for humans and to mine all the resources. And this guy makes like a slip gate, you know, devises one, and you can just like teleport out there. And yeah, he's got all kinds of cool stuff. Like if you look up Neville Buchanan on YouTube, you can watch some of the stuff he's done already with that. But so Bobby's asking, how many of those busts have I done? It's a lot already. So this is my first client that I had, which I don't know if he's still my client or not. One of my clients, I've already mentioned his name anyway. So his name is Gary Garabedian in New York. And so he hired me to do a lot of stuff for him, a lot of characters like Barbra Streisand and a lot of classic actors. So I did a lot for him, like maybe, you know, like 15 or so at least. I don't know, it's so many. And then for my new client in Florida, maybe 5 now or so. So it's been a lot. I've learned a lot of tricks on how to make them better. Every time I make one, I try to, you know, improve on it. So I think that I'm at a point now where I'm pretty much satisfied with the way that I do things, and I'm confident that I can kind of make them accurate, at least to the original actors and actresses. So I use ZBrush Core to sculpt them digitally now. So I did this with the last two, ZBrush Core, and then after I used that, I 3D print the face to a certain dimension, and then I stick the face on a mannequin that I've modified, and I've built the head onto, just the back part of the head. But it has to be a certain size for wigs to fit on. You know, this is like stuff that I would never think of just as a regular sculptor if it weren't for mannequins. Learning about mannequins, which I never even anticipated ever doing these kinds of jobs, but people ask me to do them. And so you learn like the ear size. The ears are a certain size for most mannequins, and the circumference of the head is a certain size. And also the way that the jaw has to be a certain way, because you can pose the head on the mannequin body and things, and you know, it's all sorts of little things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love to, you know, I like the challenge of it. Definitely not going to take long to make this little guy here. I kind of like the fact that it's this tiny. It's like one of Bruce Bickford's characters. He would always make characters so tiny like this. And you kind of gotta look close up at it and make sure everything looks good, because everything is so small, even your fingerprints can kind of mess it up. Yeah. This here needs to have a little line right there. Oh, okay. So, anyway, this is, these little kids are, in this story that I'm working on here as part of the main characters. So when they run out of food, the point of the film is that the mother needs to get something for them to eat. And in doing so, people that want to protect their food, which they have more than they need, they want to try to protect it. And in doing so, they lash out on this mother here. And then there's going to be another little kid that lives in the other village and is not, what's the word? I guess conditioned to their, how can I explain it? You know, they're a different culture, if you want to call it that. So not conditioned to the other culture, and realizes that, you know, everybody's lost their mind trying to protect their apple tree. All under the king's orders. So I'm sticking a little piece of clay on the back of the head to elevate it just a bit for this. But I'll take that off when I animate it. You know, it'll be on a separate piece of glass, and that way I can more easily move stuff around. I'll probably put the arms on an upper piece of glass as well, because if they're above the body, I can shift them around for animation purposes and not end up, you know, hitting the body when I don't want it to move. So I can have their body really still and locked down, so to speak. Yeah, I've got one character that has a little one hair curl, and then one has like a little bit of, you know, like a head of hair, and this one is bald. And the reason I'm making this one first, I'm not going to put any hair on it, is because I'm going to make a mold of the head and pour in clay so that all three kids are exactly the same, because they're twins, you know, except for their hair. But yeah, these parts will be all the same, and so I don't want to add too many details. Alright, so for the eyeballs, I'm just going to take my tool and I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to stick black clay in there as well, but I want to just sort of see how this will look. Yeah, it's got to be looking to the side a bit more. So I'm going to erase that. Smooth it just a bit. Now, in terms of cleanliness, I don't have to worry about my fingers being super clean and making this clay super clean as well, because when I melt the clay down and I pour it in the mold, it's going to be, you know, pristine. And the weird part about melting clay like this and pouring it into a mold is that the clay tends to turn hard when you do that. Like right now, it's really soft in my hands, but once I melt it down and pour it in a mold, it tends to be more firm, and you can sort of handle it without worrying as much. It's a weird thing that it's one of the properties of clay. I don't really understand why that happens, but it's both good and bad. Like, I've cast hands in molds like that, and the hands become sort of hard, and when you bend the fingers, they will tend to crack. So sculpting your hands in some ways is, that's really the way to go, I guess. If you don't want your hands to crack or fingers to crack, and you end up, when you bend the fingers, when it cracks off, having to repair it all the time. Okay, so this is, like I say, super simple characters, which is exactly what I want. Be easy to animate. And as of right now, I don't have to worry about details or anything. Let's see, so I had one more little hand here. So we bought my son an Xbox One recently. A fairly expensive toy, to say the least. It was like, I think, what, $299 or something like that. Came with a game called Battlefield 1. What is this for? I feel like that goes to something. So Battlefield 1, and also we have, what's the other game that he has? Star Wars Battlefront. And that Star Wars Battlefront game is actually both games. I've only had the chance to play a couple of times because I've been so busy, but the detail in video games these days is, I almost can't believe how detailed things are. They have one thing where I stood in the world and looked down, and I have a gun in my hands, and so it has a scope, and I zoomed in on the ground, and you're in the forest of Endor, right? Like in Return of the Jedi. And every single little thing that you would imagine being in a real forest, such as twigs and ground cover and little pebbles and all that, you zoom in, and all that stuff is there. I mean, it's really astounding how advanced video games have gotten since I first started playing video games. When I was a little kid, my uncle had a computer, which, back then in the 1980s was kind of rare. But he had, I don't remember what kind, like maybe a Commodore 64, I think, which was a neat computer that you could play video games on, and then they had like Atari, and of course the classic game Pac-Man was on there. And that's like some of the first video games that ever came out, and they were that's like a 2D version of Minecraft, right? It's like super simple, and just things just advanced so rapidly. I mean, digital technology has helped so many people to make art in different ways, including video games. And it's really, I think, something that, it's pretty astounding. I don't know. A baby Jabba the Hutt? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. Kind of like a crazy slug-like body going on here. Ooh. All right, so let's see, get some cheeks on here. It's probably pretty hard for you guys to see what I'm doing. Maybe I can turn on the camera's auto focus. Let me see. Or maybe I can zoom in on this as well. Let's see what I can do here. And where is it? Let's see. Chat. Webcam. Okay. Let's see what I can do. Configure. Let's see if I can. Autofocus. Here we go. Let's see how this works out, and if it doesn't work out very well, is it working at all? No, kind of is. Yeah, there we go. This might work, but it might also be annoying, so. Oh. Do you have an Xbox One, Janet? You play video games or not? It's a World War I game. And ironically, when we went to Kansas City, Missouri recently, and they have a World War I museum there. And they got like this tower that you can go and you take an elevator to the top of this tower, and it overlooks the city. And they built it in like the right after World War I. It's really old. Really educational. Like if you go in there, they show you. They have like an actual tank, and they have artillery, and they have medical field kits, all kinds of stuff that people lived with and worked with and killed each other with, And when you go in there, they even go over the history of what led up to the war and people's beliefs and everything. And I think that the craziest part is that people really are no different in terms of their beliefs today as they were back then. People's like psychology is, it would work back then the same way it works today, I guess you could say. Anyway, I can get into all kinds of philosophical stuff about that, but yeah, here we go. Here's a cute little baby. So I want to give him some black eyes here as well. So you still play World of Warcraft? Cool. Yeah. That's one game I've never played, but I know it's super popular. I used to play Age of Empires a lot. That was one of my favorite games. Okay, let me zoom in to the baby here. Okay. So there he is. And let's give him some black eyeballs. Get some black clay. This is going to be so tiny. This is literally like what Bruce Bickford would animate stuff this small. And I still don't know how he did it, but I'm going to end up having to emulate his animating discipline, I guess, with these characters. Okay, that's teeny tiny eyeball. Oh, American Experience has a show on World War I this week. Oh, you have Age of Empires? That's neat. Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun, and you know what? For being as old of a game as it is, to me, it's still... Oh, that eyeball is too big there. Too large of an eyeball. It's still a fun game. I haven't played it in forever. The game that I normally play if I'm, if I have free time is Team Fortress 2. The latest version. I think it's Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress. And Team Fortress is a game that it was a modification of the original game called Quake. Because I still, first-person shooters are what I'm, if there was any game that I'm addicted to, it would be those kind of games. But Team Fortress 2 is where you can play as different classes, and you have to like capture flags and things. All right, so Baby Jabba the Hutt, I think is, I think done. What time is it? It didn't take. It took 30 minutes. That's not very long. So I kind of figured it wouldn't take long. And so now that the baby's done, I put him on his little piece of paper here. So we got the mother and the baby. And I think scale-wise, these are good. I think that, you know, baby would be this size, you know, next to a full-grown person. So, all right. So if you guys are wondering what I used to figure out the size, what I did was, for example, like how did I print this out the size I wanted, and how did I know it would be up to here and everything? I looked at what I drew as a storyboard, and I took a pair of these calipers here, as you can see, and these are, the battery's dying, so the screen here is kind of dim, but what I did is I put it on here on one of these kids like this, and I moved it over onto the mother that I drew here, and saw about that the middle of the top part of the arm from the bottom is about where the head would end up if they were standing next to each other. And so I took the full-size one, oops, who's just knocked her eyebrow off there. Now she has a little funky black nose, as you can see here. Gotta fix that now. But so I took the calipers and I just put them over here, and I opened them up, and I came up with 40, I think it was 40 millimeters, is it? Let's see here. Or was it 34? Yeah, 34 millimeters was the height according to my calipers. It was a little bit less than 34, so I just rounded it up. And so in Photoshop, if you go into your print options, you can see that it offers the ability to print out at whatever size it is that you want. You can choose millimeters or inches, and of course I just had the little dialog box drop down and selected millimeters and printed it out at the, you know, punched in the number and printed it out, and it worked. So that's kind of my my little workflow on how I can adjust for those things. So now let me zoom out. All right, I should probably put this over here. Let's zoom out a bit. That's probably good. All right, now, so if you guys recall, I said that I wanted to add detail to the king's crown because it seemed kind of plain. So let me bring the king over here, and I don't know why I had this little extra piece of clay. Probably goes to something I forgot, and and this probably goes to something. Let me see. Maybe not. But we got our grumpy king here, and he's got this crown like this. And so the problem is, I thought his crown looked really simple, and I mean it's supposed to be, but in my sketch you see that I kind of put these little orange tones to kind of accent where there'd be shadows on him, on his crown, and it kind of gives it a more like a glossy look to it as well. So the crown looks like there's some shine to it, even though there's not, and I kind of want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some, well, I guess I'll use the orange piece. Orange clay and some of the original yellow color here. And I'm going to mix them together and make a light, or more, well, not pastel yellow, but or pastel orange, but more or less like a in-between color. And I'll just add little bits on here to make it look kind of nicer. So you have a PS3, that's neat. So in Poland they have a lot of PS3s. Yeah, it's cool how video games can bring people together in a way. you know, when you're playing video games and everybody else has a microphone and they start talking, and you hear like Russian accents and Swedish accents and Australian and, you know, British accents. It's kind of cool. I mean, let's see. So it's probably a good, well, no, a little bit lighter. I don't want this orange to look too close to his skin color because it would look like you can see through the crown or something. So I'm gonna make it a lighter tone here. So I'm just kind of scrunching the clay together and folding it over. And folding is one of the better ways to mix up clay. I think I've explained this in the past, where you fold it over once, and you fold it over twice, and then you're multiplying each layer by 2 every time. So, you know, it's like 2, 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, you know, 16 times 2 is 32, 32 times 2, 64, 64 times 2 is, you know, 128, 128 is times 2 is 250, so 256 layers, you know. And so you'll notice that your clay color, like this one, is already fairly mixed up. You know, it doesn't take long at all. You can like roll it up like this, and scrunch it, but folding it over works pretty good. You know, making it flat, folding it, making it flat, folding it. All right. So let's add our colors. So I got some orange here. Don't really know how nice this will look. I might have to make it really flat, so it's almost like it's just paint. You don't see any sort of lines. That might be hard to do, actually. Alright, so I think, let me see, do I have my mineral oil? I don't have my mineral oil here. Alright, well, I was going to say I can make some actual paint and paint it on. One of the tricks to do that is to melt your clay with mineral oil, and then, so essentially you make like a little bowl shape in your clay, and then put a lot of oil in there, and then you can stir it around, and it eventually melts it and dissolves all the clay. But I don't have any oil on my table, so I can't do that. So what I'm going to try and do is just add it and sort of smear it across. So Janet says, rare in Poland are Nintendo consoles. Oh. You know, a long time ago we bought a Nintendo Wii, and honestly, didn't really play it much. I think that Nintendo's also not financially doing well. I heard that they didn't sell as much as usual. But then they released that new system, and I think, you know, they did pretty good again. But yeah, Nintendo is really cool. I had the first Nintendo with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. If you guys ever want to play like a really cheesy game, Duck Hunt is like the cheesiest game ever. And they had this, at the time it was like this really amazing technology. You can shoot at your TV set with a plastic gun. And I'm not entirely sure how that worked. You know, it did work. I don't know what they did to make it actually, like if you aim your gun at the TV, like how it knew where it was pointed. Like somehow the TV screen was able to have a way of getting feedback to the game console. And so if you would, you know, shoot a duck, the screen would kind of flash, and then this little dog would go over there and like eat your, or get your little duck and put it in its mouth or whatever. Really simple game, but really popular. I think probably my favorite game that I played as a kid on Nintendo was Zelda. That game was really cool. See, I think this is going to look a lot better, this King's helmet with some color in there like that. Definitely not as simple and sort of flat. I mean, I think it was looking way too flat. So these are the golden apples. I almost want to get gold paint and paint this. The only problem with that is you want to avoid a lot of shiny stuff with clay on glass, because any upper layers would have a reflection. You don't want to have reflections in the glass, and that's kind of the bad part about this technique. And I'll probably have to paint the underside of all these with black paint as well, because anytime I move it, the glass below you might see it, and it'll distract everybody. Okay, so now let's see here. So I think this will look pretty nice. So Janet says, I dream about the 3DS because they have a lot of Disney games. Do they really? That's cool. Oh. Yeah, I guess that Nintendo is a more family-friendly type of a system, isn't it? Am I wrong? Like, I think their games aren't necessarily as violent. But the Xbox One now, Star Wars is owned by Disney, so and that game is pretty violent, you know, shooting people and stuff. I'm not sure if they have any kind of like other Disney related games though. Alright. So I'll have to decide after I finish this. Next week. I wonder what character I should do next after this. Yeah, the baby's pretty small here. This king could eat the baby for lunch. Could fit him in his mouth there. I think the head is about the right size for a hamburger. Okay, let's see. So yeah, Xbox. But you know what the bad part is about the Xbox is that using the controller is really the worst experience ever. I mean, the game controller that comes with it, you try to aim it, and when I played, oh my god, I tried to play it, and aiming your gun in any of the games, it seems like the gun, you cannot quickly put it on another player to kill them. Really super frustrating, because in a first-person shooter game, everything is happening super fast. And then if you turn a corner and there's somebody there, and it takes you like literally, 5 or 6 seconds to put the dot on the other character, you're dead, On a PC, on a computer with your mouse, you see somebody and you can just instantly put that crosshair on the other person and shoot them. And on an Xbox, what they've got is you can get these devices that you plug your mouse and your keyboard into, and you can play just like on a PC. And from what I understand, the companies that make video games, like, there's one that came out, what is it called? Overwatch? I don't know if you guys are into that stuff. I heard about it because my friend Justin Rash, well, I say friend, but just, person I know on Facebook, he was one of the animators on that game. And so I read somewhere when I was trying to find out if there was a way to hook your mouse on there, that there was an article by the creator of that game, and he said that he considered anybody that does that to be a cheater, But at the same time, it's like an admission that using a game controller for Xbox and first-person shooter games is really crappy. It's like saying, well, yeah, it's crappy, but we want it to be crappy for everyone because then it's fair. So that's one of the things where I played it a couple of times and I'm just like, I don't want to really deal with that because you're dead always. Someone else has got. It's not really experience. I have experience playing first-person shooters, but yeah, those controllers are horrible. It takes you too long to actually aim your gun on stuff. I know that's not necessarily a Disney topic. I kind of changed the topic there, but yeah, I don't like it too much. And the device that you need for your mouse and keyboard is about $120 or $128 or something like that. So Bobby says, yeah, made by Blizzard, same people who made World of Warcraft. Oh, yeah, Blizzard. Did you ever play, what is that, Diablo and Diablo 2, I think? There's a Diablo 3 that came out as well. But I played that along, when it came out many years back. I was addicted to Diablo and Diablo 2. It was like that was fun. But after a while, you realize that it never ends and there's kind of no goal to it. And you're just kind of collecting stuff forever. So Janet says, I'm angry because Disney and making games by myself and release games only for mobile. Oh, really? Is that how it is? Yeah, I guess you know why, because everybody has a cell phone. Not everyone has like a Xbox and all that. So you could probably make a lot more cash that way. Bet there's a lot of knockoffs, they call them, like people stealing the idea. And like my son loves Minecraft, or he did for a while. So what I did was I went on my cell phone in the App Store. It's an Android phone. So I go in the App Store and I look for Minecraft, and there's one legitimate Minecraft game, right? It's like $7 or so. And then there's about 500 million knockoffs of Minecraft. I mean, everybody that can make a game similar to Minecraft, but a little bit different. Yeah, and those people that steal games or steal the concept and mimic it, I mean, they're making bazillions of dollars. And it's like blatantly stealing it. And to me, that's just kind of weird, like how they can get away with that. Which I don't know. Maybe there's people don't mind, but To me, it's just like, come on, you know, be original. It's like movie sequels that are really bad, you know. You just kind of go, why did you do that? Why did you steal that? Hey, Hoser Lou. Yeah, and so Antonio says, games get to the point. Yeah, if there's no point to a game, if it goes on forever, it's kind of fun, but after a while, you just gotta say, okay. All right, so now I think that the crown is, you know, is it better? I can't really say if the crown is better or not. Let me see something. Whoop. Let's move my table by accident. I think what I'm gonna do is melt this a little bit here, carefully. Oh. See if that looks better. A shiny crown. Gotta be careful I don't destroy this here. Alright. Now if I touch what I just did, I'm gonna make it matte again. I don't want to do that. Yeah, I think some added shine there is a good thing. What do you guys think? It was looking a bit flat before in terms of color and character, because I mean, crown's pretty important for a king, so Minecraft, yeah. Minecraft is, well, it was really, really popular. And at least with kids, you know. I mean, for me, I tried it out because it was on my computer and my son plays it. Or played it. Where's my paper towels at? There they are. And so, of course, you know, I played it, but yeah, it was okay, I guess. Now, I think with the king, I'm going to do the same thing to his little pendant here as well. I'm going to add a little bit of orange clay there because I want it to match his crown bling here. And it's pretty easy to do. Let me take his head off. Oops. Just a little bit here. And there's like a teeny tiny hair on here I don't want. Fuzz or something. Ugh. Using my voice. Alright, and now, see if I can shine it up just a little bit without burning myself. See how that looks. I think I'll flatten it just a bit. I don't want it to cast a shadow like that, so I'm gonna smooth it a little more. Just a little bit. That's pretty good. That's a little bit better. So we got a little bit of a shiny crown. We got a shiny pendant. Alright. Yeah, I think that'll help give him more character. So let me zoom out just a bit. There he is. The grumpiest king of all the land. So this is Van Aken clay and also Avalon clay. Avalon clay they don't make anymore. I got it from Tony Merrithew, who worked at Wolverton Studios. Kind of comes in the pack like this. Let me see if I have. I've also got some Sargent Art clay, which this version did not become. Well, actually, no. I'm thinking of a different clay. Sargent Art clay is pretty good, actually. The clay that I don't recommend is. Oh, what's it called? It's in all the craft stores now, and it's the worst stuff. Now, Van Aken is also not that great anymore either, which is unfortunate, because I really like it when it's working well. I can't remember the name now. What's it called? Craft Smart clay. Craft Smart clay becomes hard over time, I found out. And it's an oil-based clay, which is unusual. Well, anyways, let's see. So I've got the baby done. I got the king is done, or fixed up a bit. And so I think we're done for tonight. Anything else I need to do on him? He's got a hand. He's got a little wrist thing. Nope, I think we're done. Yep. All right. Well, anyways, thank you guys all for stopping in tonight. And so next week I'm going to do another character. Probably a secondary character of some sort. Because I'm going to be making molds of the babies. And, well, I mean, actually I could probably make another baby, but make it larger for the close-up shots, for forced perspective. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out. So anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. I will see you all next week.